Alright, it's been a while. So today we're going to talk about progression models, and we're going to talk about whether you should be intensifying or volumizing. So without further ado, let's dive into this video. If you're interested in this sort of thing, I actually have a full video series talking about training programming, which I would highly recommend you guys to actually check out. And also, if you want my personal help with your training, I actually do offer some online coaching, and the link for that is down below in the description. Now, first things first, what actually is intensifying and what is volumizing? Intensifying pretty much means adding weight. You can do this linear or you can also use waves. When you're volumizing, you're pretty much keeping the weight the same, but you are adding reps and sets. The most popular way to do this is step loading. Both are ways to progressively overload your training, and I've talked about both in depth in previous videos, but now let's talk about them individually and see which one you should do. Starting off with intensifying. So intensifying definitely is one that is used the most because it is by far the most obvious. Adding in 2.5 kilograms every single week, very straightforward. It's extremely rewarding because you can visually see the progress that you're making, but the biggest downside of this is that the total volume that you're doing doesn't really go up that much. Like if you do 3 by 10 with 2.5 kilograms more the next week, your total load doesn't increase that much compared to adding in reps or sets. So when should you intensify? You intensify when the goal is to get stronger. So essentially increase your 1 rep max, 3 rep max, 5 rep max. See how much weight you can do for a 3 by 3, 5 by 5. This is the goal of the vast majority of people, which is why once again the vast majority of people are intensifying to progressively overload their training. And then we have volumizing. So this is used a lot less by beginners and used a lot more by intermediate and advanced athletes. Some examples are going from a 3 by 10 to a 5 by 10 or a 3 by 5 to a 3 by 8. So as you guys can see, the weight is pretty much staying the same, but we're adding in reps or sets to. The biggest advantage of this training style is that your volume increases drastically when adding in reps or sets, a lot more compared to adding in weight like we talked about earlier on in this video, which is a massive driver for hypertrophy and strength. The biggest cons of this is that you have to restrain yourself a lot more when practicing this type of progression, and it's also a lot less enjoyable because you don't immediately see the results of your training like you would do on linear or wave progressions. So when do we volumize? We volumize when the goal is to widen our base. This happens especially in off seasons when we're taking a break from strength work and we're focusing on widening our foundation, doing more volume, improving work capacity, increasing volume tolerance, building muscle mass, something that is extremely important for intermediate and advanced athletes, which is why they will use this progression model a lot more than, for example, beginners. So by now it should be pretty obvious that both have their merit and both are extremely useful, but they are used in a vastly different context. Now I want to finish off this video by talking about a third option, which is combining intensifying and volumizing, that I've been experimenting with over the last few months. It has worked extremely well, so I want to talk about that to finish off this video. I'm going to show this by giving you a very simple example using top and back offsets. So we're going to be working with a top set of 3 reps and then working with some additional back offsets for more volume. And as you guys can see, the top set intensifies by adding in weight to build strength on that one single top set. And then the back offsets are volumizing, so essentially we're doing more and more work as our training block progresses. This is an example of a training block where we are volumizing and intensifying all at the same time. However, one caveat to this: when you are combining both, you need to really prioritize one over the other. So you can use both, but one definitely is prioritized, because otherwise you're gonna end up chasing multiple things at once, which means that you won't get the very most out of it. So pick one of the two and focus on that. But this is a very simple example how to actually use both in the same training block. And that is pretty much all I want to talk about in today's video. To sum this up, it doesn't really matter what you're doing, context is everything as always. And then to finish off this video, thank you guys for watching. Like if you guys haven't already. Like I talked about earlier, if you are looking for online coaching, link is down below in the description. Any more questions, leave them down below as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Latest.